Hello and welcome to Constellations for our conference coming up. So excited, October 5th to 8th this year in Virginia Beach. The North American Systemic Constellations Conference theme this year is Bridging the Divide, Healing the Personal and Collective Soul. And today I'm super excited to introduce Harrison Snow. And Harrison is going to talk about his talk, Accelerated Leadership, Working Systemically with Leadership and Teams. Super excited to talk to you today, Harrison. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Linda. Great to be here.
I'm so excited. I'm excited to see our conference is going to pay attention to organizational constellations too. Good idea.
Well, we've got a great track, and if people are interested just in the organizational track, they can stay in every time frame and go from one organizational constellation workshop to another. So it'll be a chance to go deep if that's where you want to go.
Oh, that's a fantastic idea. So the track is going to not jump on top of each other, but consistently.
Right. Now we've got 4 tracks. One is social justice, one is family constellations, one is more traditional shamanic, and then the organizational track. So you could stay in each track for the whole conference and just focus in that area if you choose to, or you can jump around and cover the waterfront. So either way.
Oh, that's fantastic news. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, we're excited about that. That's
a great innovation. Congratulations.
Yeah.
That is an excellent innovation.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, well, tell us about your workshop, Accelerated Leadership, Working Systemically with Leadership and Teams.
Well, thank you, Lynn. I'd love to go into this because when I talk about accelerated leadership, what's emerging now in the field, because I've been in the leadership organizational development field for, 30 some years now. We're seeing people have kind of maxed out. We've kind of hit the ceiling on technique and method and do this and get that sort of a lateral thinking process of the cookbook type thing. Here's the styles, here's the situational leadership, here's the type of feedback you can give, here's how you set performance expectations and follow up, and on and on. They're very good. I teach leadership 4 or 5 day programs, and they're very good methodologies that are very established, been around a long time, and they work well. And there's a limitation, because it's so much in the realm. It's in the realm of doing and having. Okay, if you do this, you're going to get that result, all right? So, and people don't relate to that. We identify around, in the U.S. particularly, in our culture, around doing and what you have, and that's the framework we bounce back and forth from. What we're not paying attention to, and where real change and real capacity and real ability lives, is in the being level of who you are intellectually, but all mentally, but also emotionally and spiritually, and sort of beyond that, the standard 2-dimensional framework of doing and having. There's a lot more of us there that at the unconscious level really determines what happens in the conscious level, and we're not aware of it. So we continue to do the same old things, expecting different results and not getting different results, getting some of the same breakdowns over and over again. And when I work with leaders, there may be things that are obvious that I tell them, or things that they see sometimes, and they can make some changes. But certain things don't change. Certain things, come on, why does this keep showing up, in the field of the organization under your leadership? Why do these particular issues, whether people complain about favoritism or complain about lack of management responsiveness or confusion about the goals role, the problems tend to be the same, and yet here we are applying all this having and doing and not really seeing a fundamental shift in the organization and in the behaviors of the leadership. So what's up with that? And if we look at consciousness, and there's a whole movement around conscious-based leadership, we can move, we can not only address the things that we can do on a conscious level, but we can help a person turn and see, oh, here's some beliefs, here's some dynamics, here's some structural things that are below the surface of consciousness or awareness, yet they're really determining what we're doing and having more than we realize at all. But if we can see it, and if we can set it up in a physical way with the constellation work so the person can see it and grasp it, then there's something happens, something shifts on a level that we quite don't understand, but new possibilities arise, new awarenesses arise, and new actions arise, and new results that you get from that arise. So I would say it's accelerated conscious leadership, accelerating, going beyond all that, the ceiling that we've hit into a new and different realm of leadership development and change, not only for the leader, but for the organization as a whole. And I've seen, when I've seen change happen, and it can happen in real time, like boom, all of a sudden something shifts in the room, something hits there at an awareness level and at a felt sense level, it's generally because we've brought something up that's been there all along, but people are now able to see it and feel it in a new way. So what that means is, as an organizational coach or leadership coach, change consultant, change facilitator, you need not just your standard toolkit that you can go anywhere and see these list of skills in most leadership programs. It's pretty much the capacities and the competence are pretty much, in all the books, all the courses. But you need another base skill, and that is that ability to make visible what the dynamics that are actually really driving what's happening there, make visible, and then be able to introduce the healing phrase or the keystone phrase that shifts people's understanding and awareness and leads to some kind of new possibility and new felt sense. Because if the internal template, let's just say organizations and people really have an internal template about the way the world feels and in the way it shows up. And so what's going on the inside is replicated on the outside. And if you have a belief, say you very much believe the world is out to get you, guess what? Yes, the boss is out to get you, and every boss is out to get you because that's how you live internally. And if we can help you see where that's coming from, the traumas, often there's some kind of trauma-based that's in the system, in that person's system, family system, early childhood system, that they're not very present looking at or aware of, but once they bring that to awareness, they can mitigate the impact of that and turn and look with new eyes towards the future. There's a new future available in the frozen past. They're not frozen in that frozen past and bound to recapitulate what was unresolved back in their early childhood or their family system or their beliefs of the way the world works. They can create a new internal representation that responds externally in their world. They can see externally in the world. So this is dynamic. This is leadership coaching on steroids. This is leadership organizational coaching on steroids because the change is so dramatic and so fast. Whereas, I can be, I've worked with organizations over a period of time, and it's, the same stuff keeps showing up, and it's very slow, and it's like, come on, people, wake up, and I'm using all the standard tools. Well, okay, let's have some feedback. Well, why haven't you talked to the person? Well, blah, 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 all these reasons, that the feedback is not happening and the change is not happening. But if I look deeper, there's some hidden blocks and some hidden payoffs and some things that they're not looking at and dealing with internally that are blocking them from taking the actions that would help resolve, and the responsibility. So one of the things that I try to emphasize, accountability, is people can count on you. Others can count on you to show up. Accountability, and that accountability is based on your responsibility, and responsibility is the ability to respond. And you need to have a certain level of a consciousness about, oh, what can I own here within me that is creating, my limitations that I'm up against, and then be able to respond to that so I can be accountable to myself and others. So this is cool stuff, and I think it's cutting edge, and it's something that we'll be talking about at the conference in this track, and inviting people to step into a whole new level of capacity to coach their clients and to coach their teams and organizations about the changes that people say they want, but are so, there's that hidden agenda. I don't know if I really want to, help them fly and take the risk to actually really step into authentic change and really claim their power, because all this goes back to, management. This is the old Abilene paradox. Management feeling we can't because of they. Internal management, mid-level, we can't because of senior and junior, can't because of they. People at the bottom, we can't because of they. And all these horizontal silos that exist within an organization, vertical silos, horizontal silos that keep people stuck in the same mind frame, in the same place, and getting the same results. So can we break them down? Yes, we can, but we have to start internally at the level of consciousness and awareness to do that. So anyway, long answer to a short question, and you can see my excitement, because I think we're offering something here that's extremely innovative, that it's way overdue. It's way overdue. It's way overdue. Way overdue. And we're gonna wake up one morning and the phone's gonna be off the hook because people have woken up to it. We're not there yet. So, but we've got to get, we being the people who do this work, need to get ready, because I think that day is coming. I don't know when, but I think it's coming.
Excellent. Okay. Yeah. Excellent. So I have a question then around that. Yeah. A couple of questions, actually. One, do you like to do your work one-to-one with your client, or do you like to do this type of work within a group?
You have to do both, I think, to be effective. The group, if you get in front of and I work with groups, sometimes very large groups with the organization, but the leader's awareness and readiness is essential, because if we're going to have an honest conversation, that person has to be ready to hear it and not get into defensiveness, because that's death. In front of a large group, if that person says, "Oh, that's not true," blah blah blah.
Right.
I can't believe you said that. Why are you saying? It's the worst thing in the world. You raise something and then you shoot it down, and it just creates more cynicism and fear. So the leader has to be ready to have a difficult conversation and be on the hot seat and know that that's okay. That's part of the job, that people are going to project on you as the leader and make you the bad person and question your fairness and your awareness. So, and then to be able to hold that space. So can the leader have sufficient groundedness, confidence to hold a bigger container of all those emotions, those difficult emotions, and be okay with that and say, all right, let me hear it, let me understand it, let me see it, let me acknowledge it, and let me give you my perspective on things, and ask for your cooperation and understanding. And so if the leader can be that kind of bigger soul, bigger personality, bigger person, then they truly are leading, because they're able to contain and include all the other disparities that are going to be there, inevitably going to be there, and need to be held and contained and seen. It's just like, the mother with 12 kids. I mean, she's got a lot to contain and to hold, but her capacity to do that keeps everyone feeling safe and grounded and a sense of belonging. That's so crucial, because out of that sense of belonging, here's what we're about, here's who we are, then people have the safety to focus on becoming the best they can be, and helping the organization become, what it can be for its clients. But the leader brings that sense of belonging, and then that vision towards becoming individually and collectively.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
Another thing that I was excited to read about is that we're going to talk about in your workshop something about marketing a little bit, about marketing to organizations.
Well, and that's
surely lacking.
Well, and that's how do we sell this? How do we position this? I think it's a continued struggle in this country, because the awareness of family constellation work is so limited. And this is why our family constellation facilitators are so dear to us, because as they make more inroads and get people more familiar with this process, it's much easier on the organizational level if someone's had some experience from that perspective. And I think gradually the awareness of collective stress, of collective trauma, and individual trauma and dysfunction within the organization or within the family system, and how that shows up in the organizational system, people are making the transfer from one to the other. So I've seen books like Your Boss is Not Your Mother. Don't put that on her or on him, not your father, and the authority figures, and more awareness about how the organizational system tends to be a replication of someone's family system, especially if that didn't work so well. They tend to recreate the same dynamic. So how do we bring this in without sounding too woo-woo, and how do we use it with our clients without kind of going into too much explanation, which they don't, they want solutions, not a lot of explanation. Help me get a solution. So there's a number of ways that we can work systemically that helps them look at the system. Everyone understands system thinking, and what are the different parts of the system, and how do we bring them together to work more harmoniously, and then how do we see it or represent that, not just mentally, but let's embody that physically. I think there's much more openness now to these concepts. And what's pretty cool is I've seen consultants bringing out the models of some structural models of like the rescuer, persecutor, victim model, and helping people own those parts in themselves. Like, okay, how do I end up being a persecutor towards myself or others? How do I tend to be a victim towards myself and others? How do I tend to rescue myself and others? So if you can apply that, if you can break things into parts and own those different parts within yourself, and in coaching, help people do that, how are you playing this role out within yourself and identify that? You have a powerful place to stand when you're asking people to look at the system and how those dynamics are playing out, and what needs to be said or done that would shift things. So what I've seen is when I've worked with some clients and they say, wow, the system's really resistant to change, and here's, these people are not, the leadership's not willing to look at racism or, something they're not willing to look at. It really helps for them to say, okay, well, let's look at why they're acting that way. Let's step into their shoes and take that perspective and understand how they're seeing things, so that you're not caught in your own victim, persecutor, staff management divide. You can see it from their perspective, and then language it in a way that makes it safer, that gives that sense of belonging, to create a vision towards becoming that everybody can move towards. Because right now, this is why the theme of bridging the divide is so important. That our society, organizationally, politically, socially, racially, class, is divided into these groups that see each other in an adversarial way and have stopped listening or trying to understand or trying to step into the other shoes. So this group, why the heck are they doing that? That's so unfair. Or that group, why are, don't they understand? We can't. So, all right, hold on. Why don't you just step into their shoes and represent them and see what that world is like?
Oh, I love this.
And maybe that just might blow your mind, the people that you've always been judging as victims or persecutors or something. You just see that part in you, own that part of you. What's that world like? And, when we walk them just a few feet, you only have to walk a mile, walk a few feet in somebody's moccasins, our whole understanding shifts. So this is visceral. It's not intellectual. We can stop listening to other arguments because obviously we have the truth, they don't. But suspend that for 15 seconds. And so we can create, in this conference, I think we're going to experience that looking at social issues, organizational issues, family issues, experiencing the other side of the divide and understanding how that lives in us. And so we are divided because we're seeing that in the inner template there's a division. And if we can close that division within ourselves, guess what happens to the world out there that we are creating? So I think, Linda, that if you've got one reason to come to the conference, you're not just come because you want us, you look around and you say, we are too divided. Where's this division living in me? Come to the conference to start living in those other places and closing that internal divide. So that would be not just a great service to yourself, but a great service to let's start moving this culture back to a place of where we understand and respect each other.
Oh, this is so exciting. This is so exciting. By the way, I forgot, you have a book out recently.
Yeah. Confessions of a Corporate Shaman. I'd have to get up and run to it. I don't have it sitting right next to me, but Confessions of a Corporate Shaman, Healing the Soul of an Organization, 292 pages or something like that, $24 or 25, something like that from Amazon, published by Regent Press out of Berkeley, really great little publishing house. Cover done by my sister, looks really good.
Well, you know what? You have to send me a picture of it, and then I'll.
Okay.
Or once I put this up on YouTube, you can add the picture.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll send you a picture of it. But it talks about working with organizations and talks about working with leaders and how to use those processes to make a lot of case studies about how you can work with these groups and some processes in the back you can use. And really, what we're asking, and I use shaman tongue in cheek, but it's not so far out of left field because we're trying to make visible what's invisible. And trying to bring something that's not looked at, that we're in denial of, and because we haven't looked at it, it's showing up, some other way, some other aspect, and that's very the traditional people in the traditional track will tell you that's what that's how the healing needs to happen. You need to look at something. You need to include something that's been excluded and unincluded.
Well, thank you so much. This was very interesting. I'm super excited to be at the conference now. I'm super excited to begin with anyway.
Wow, that 15 minutes went quick. I thought we would be looking for more. Did I blabbermouth or what?
Everything's perfect. Everything's perfect. So we'll see you soon. I just want to remind people to check out our website, nasconstellations.org. For more information, I'll put it at the end of the YouTube little blurb also. And thank you again, Harrison. I look forward to this so much.
Thank you, Linda. It's been delightful to chat with you. All the best.
All the best to you too. And everybody, we look forward to seeing you at the conference. It's going to be obviously very exciting.
Be there in October, yeah. And we also going to have one last thing, Linda. We're going to have I'm going to put together a panel, an organizational panel. So we really will get people's latest perspective on the field. What's working, what's not working, what do we need to do differently to advance this work with our clients?
Oh, excellent.
So that'll be if you just want to capture the high points, come to the Sunday panel.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you again.
See you in Norfolk.
We'll see everybody in October. October
in Norfolk. All right, all the best.
Thank you. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.